friends, welcome to Akashapureeswarer and Crafts. Today, let's see Kaduveli Akashapureeswarer Temple. This temple is in Kaduveli. It is around 18 kilometers from Tanjavur via Thiruvaiyaru. It is around 5 kilometers from Thiruvaiyaru. The temple we are visiting is Sri Mangalambikai Sameda Sri Akashapureeswarer. The temple is open only for limited timing, that is from 9 am to 10 am and from 5 pm to 6 pm, as the number of visitors is less and the priest has to come from outside. On the days when the star is Puradam, the temple is kept open from 8 am to 1 pm. Kaduveli refers to plain, clear, infinite, open area, space. Since the Lord in this place is believed to represent space, Akasam, he is called Akashapureeswarer. The readers who are familiar with Sittar tradition of Tamil Nadu might have heard about Sri Kaduveli Sittar. The song Nandavanathil Oru Andi, Kaduveli Sittar was the author of this song. Though he was born near Tindivanam, he came and remained in this place for long and finally attained Samadhi at Kanchipuram. He prayed, focusing on the Sunyam, empty space. He prayed to the Lord here, and hence the place came to be known as Kaduveli. As his focus was on space, the Lord came to be called Akashapureeswarer. There was no idol of the Sittar till recently. When the renovation work was undertaken a few years ago, an idol of Sittar was unearthed. It was installed in the temple. When the question arose to the place regarding the place to install, they had a divine order that Sittar should be installed in the place of Nandi. Hence, Nandi is in this place is found outside the temple tower. Such was his greatness. In his songs, he calls the Lord as Paramanadar, since he is believed to reflect the powers of Surya, and hence those having an issues in their horoscopes relating to sun. The main shrine is of Sri Akashapureeswarer. Apart from other devas, Vastu Bhagavan, Vastu is the Shastra which specifies the various parameters including the direction of dwelling places. Praise this Lord on Puradam day. Ambal Mangalambikai is in a separate shrine. As she confers Mangalam, prosperity on her devotees, she is appropriately named. For those born on Puradam star, this is the recommended temple. As per astrologers, those born under this star are fond of luxuries. Hence, I was not surprised to find that this Lord is worshipped with javadu, sandal oil, sandal powder and herbs, and pungu, civet, and during this puja, Sambrani incense is used extensively. Kesari is the prasadam offered. Now let's go to Kaduveli Sittar's story. Irumbai Makalam is a quaint village en route Tindivanam in Tamil Nadu from Pondicherry, and village houses an ancient temple of Lord Shiva by the name Mahakaleshwarar, the deity with the same name in Ujjain in the north of India, and in another temple near Kumbakonam also. The temple structure at Irumbai is said to have been built 1,000 years ago by Chola king, though the deity should have been existing for much earlier, as it is a place mentioned in the song of Sri Thirunyana Sambandar, Sundarar and Pattinatthar. It is listed as the 32nd of the 275 temples, Padal Petra Sthalam, identified where Nayanmars have visited and sang hymns. This is the story of the Siddha associated with this temple. About 500 or 600 years ago, there lived a Siddha in this area now known to us as Kaduveli Sittar. They are very well versed in advanced yogic practices, and most of them know the art of preserving their bodies for hundreds of years and thus lived long lives. The Siddha system of medicine is based on the formulations of herbs as written in the ancient texts by the Siddhas. Now this Siddha in our story was doing intense penance under a peepal tree near this temple of Lord Shiva known as Mahakaleshwarar. His tapasya or meditation was so very intense that he was generating a lot of heat from his body, and the whole area surrounding the temple and the villages had become very dry with lakes drying up, and there was no rain. The king, who was ruling from a neighboring place called Edayanchavadi, was also worried since the threat of famine soon loomed large. The villagers could sense that the lack of rain was due to the intense meditation of the Siddhar, but they were afraid of waking him up from his meditation, fearing that he might curse him if awoken rudely. This news reached the king's ears, and he announced a reward for anyone who could successfully wake up the Siddhar from his meditation. There was a temple dancer in village by the name Valli, and she also heard the king's announcement. Well, let me try, she thought. She started observing the Siddhar day and night. He was sitting in Padmasanam, that is a lotus pose, with his eyes closed all the time, and was remaining so still that an ant hill had started growing by his sides. She noted that occasionally he held out his palm with his eyes closed and waited till a dry peepal leaf fell on his palm. And when the leaf fell, he put it into his mouth and ate it. All the time his eyes were closed. His only food was the occasional dry peepal leaf. Valli got an idea. She prepared very thin rice appalams, chips, adding salt, and took them to the place where the Siddhar was meditating. When he stretched out his palm to catch a falling leaf, she placed an appalam on his palm, and he ate the same, oblivious to the fact that someone was placing them on his palm. This went on for a few weeks, and the taste of salt brought a change in the Siddhar, and he opened his eyes to see what was causing this distraction to his meditation. Valli, with a group of villagers, stood in front, her palms joined in obedience to the Siddhar. Seeing the devotion and humility in the eyes of Valli and the villagers, the Siddhar did not get angry. What do you seek? He asked with kindness. The headman of the village came up and said in a pleading voice, "Oh, holy sir, our villagers have not seen rain for months together since you sat for meditation. Please be kind enough, sir, and bless us with rains." The Siddhar looked around at the sad faces of the crowd and said, "So be it." That very night it started raining heavily, and the villagers got enough and more water. Meanwhile, since the Siddhar has no house to stay, Valli offered him shelter in the veranda of her house, where he slept, prayed, and ate the food given by the villagers and Valli. The king came to know that the heavy rain had been due to blessings of the Siddhar, and wanted to have a grand celebration for all his people. As part of the celebration, he wanted to honor Valli for her role in getting the Siddhar blessings, and so he gave her an opportunity to perform her dance in the temple in the presence of his royal family. The temple has a large courtyard even today where dance performances are held. On the appointed day, Valli very happily came forward and started her performance in front of Lord Shiva. The royal family and the Siddha were seated on special seats, and there was a huge crowd of public curious to see who this Siddha was. One after another song, Valli was dancing, and the crowd was enthralled in the beauty of Valli's dance with beautiful facial expressions and excellent footwork, accompanied by the music performed by equally talented musicians who were singing and playing many instruments. Suddenly, one anklet from Valli's left foot flew and fell near the Siddha. The link of the anklet was apparently loose. The Siddha, who was absorbed in the dance, was not seeing Valli as a temple dancer, but was seeing Lord Nataraja in her. The sudden falling of the anklet was noticed by all, and though the dance continued, the Siddha got up from where he was and seated, picked up the anklet and went to Valli, who was also confused as to why he was coming to her. She stopped the dance for a few seconds, and he bowed down to tie the anklet to her foot. To him, the person in front was not Valli, but the Lord Nataraja, whose anklet had fallen, and it was Lord Nataraja that he was offering to tie the anklet. When he bowed down, Valli and the whole crowd was aghast. This was Pasapi, a learned aged Siddha, bowing to a dancing girl and wanting to tie her anklet. Valli was moving back step by step, with the Siddha pleading with her to show her foot, and that also in a peculiar way. He was addressing her, "My lord, my Lord of Ponnambalam, and so on. Ponnambalam refers to the temple of Lord Nataraja at Chidambaram. What cheap attitude, someone muttered. These days everyone wears a saffron robe. Haha, sneered someone else. The mutters and mumbles grew to a large noise, with people angrily commenting openly at the Siddha, pointing fingers at him and accusing him. Suddenly the Siddha realized that the people were jeering at him, some loudly and some laughing at him mockingly. He understood the situation in a jiffy and became terribly angry. With the anklet in one hand, he stomped to the sanctum of Akashapureeswarer, stood in front of him, and addressing the Lord in a trance-like state, said, "O Lord Shiva, you are a witness to what has happened here. You know that I saw your form of Nataraja in this girl who was dancing. But all these people here, whose problem I solved by giving up my meditation, have been so judgmental without knowing my connection with you. If what I am saying is true, please express your solidarity with me." As the crowd and the king watched, there was a deep rumbling sound, and the linga, form of Shiva, cracked into 3 pieces, with shrapnel and dust flying from it, falling far outside the temple. The Siddha continued in an angry voice, "The places up to which the dust from the lingam have fallen shall not see rain again." He started to walk away from the temple when the people and the king realized the grave mistake they had committed and cursed themselves for their cheap thoughts. The king ran behind the Siddha and fell in front of him, holding his feet, and with tears in his eyes repented for the bad happenings caused by his people. "I will take on the punishment personally, O Siddha Purusha. Please curse me instead. Please do not curse that there will be no rain. Please revoke your words, O holy man. I will give you whatever you seek, but please revoke your curse," he said. The Siddha looked at him and was quiet for some time. Then he said, "Well, I cannot revoke my curse, but years later, people from foreign lands will come and settle here, and then the place will be green again." Saying thus, the Siddha walked away, not heeding to anybody's pleading. The area became an arid land, and the Siddha came to be known as Kaduveli Siddhar. Legend has it that hundreds of years later, when the Holy Mother came to Pondicherry as a disciple of Sri Aurobindo, and the people started coming from foreign lands, to the Siddha's words came true, and the rains blessed the land again. The temple at Irumbai is very well maintained and worth visiting, and one can still see the lingam, which is split, which is held together by a copper wire. Tirtham associated with this temple is Mangala Tirtham, and Sthala Vriksham is Vani tree. Festivals here is Aipasi Annabhishekam in October to November, Thaipusam January to February, Sivaratri February to March, Navaratri September to October, Pangani Uttaram in March to April. The belief is that it is auspicious for those born under Purada Nakshatra to visit the temple and make offerings to Akashapureeswarer on the day of the Nakshatra birthday. Devotees specially born on Purada Nakshatra come here to offer prayers and seek the grace of Lord Akashapureeswarer and Mangalambike to wash away their sins, obstacles in life, and get relief from all the ill effects of stars. The Purada Nakshatra remaining serving Lord Akashapureeswarer here, and therefore the ill effects of planetary afflictions are nullified by the grace of the Lord. Those facing obstacles in their marriages worship on Puradam star day, burning incense powder, sambrani smoke. Devotees offer Javadu and Pungu, both cosmetic powders, to Lord, and offer Keshari, a sweet pudding, as Nivedana to Lord. The temple is appropriate to conduct the Vastu Puja for the earth element before constructing a building or home, so there would be no obstacles during the construction. Let's all have the blessings of this Lord and Goddess. Thank you, viewers. Bye bye, viewers.